The truth about this, Michael, isn't it, is that we may never know the truth.
Yes.
Welcome to WatchMojoUK, and today we'll be looking at 10 huge stars who now have dead careers.
I made a mistake, which I'm very sorry for. I'm sorry for the hurt that I've caused.
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
For this list, we're looking at famous faces you may not have seen around recently. Let us know in the comments who you think should make a comeback. Skins cast. Plenty of people who have appeared in Skins have had meteoric careers, among them Nicholas Hoult, Daniel Kaluuya and Dev Patel.
Time to get drunk. Your turn.
But many others, who were briefly household names, haven't had that luxury. As they were so young at the time, many decided afterward that they didn't want to pursue acting as a career. Others, though, still work as actors, but haven't been as lucky as some of the big stars in getting roles.
I'm afraid you can't take your exams here.
Are you saying I'm being expelled?
I prefer the term no longer permanently affiliated.
Why?
It's less discouraging.
They've stressed publicly that they're still working and still fulfilled in their lives, but it's a shame not to see them on our screens when so many members of Skins had so much talent and potential.
I'm Naomi. I hate injustice. People tell lies about me.
Timmy Mallard. If you grew up in the 80s or 90s, you'll be very familiar with all-round entertainer Timmy Mallard.
All right then, Wide Awakers. It's time to play the first round of Mallet's Mallet.
But he just about disappeared from public life in the 2000s. And now the days of iconic Saturday morning kids shows are long gone. He's done a few things since, including appearing on stage, but unless you're following him closely, you definitely won't know what he's been up to.
It's a word association game, Wide Awakers, where you mustn't pause or hesitate, repeat a word or say a word I don't like. Otherwise, you get a bash on the head like this.
Like this, yeah.
And he's actually gotten into painting and travelling, touring with his paintings, and writing a memoir about his time travelling through France.
First word is favourite kids' TV shows.
Oh, Tiswas.
Tiswas, yes.
Blue Peter.
Blue Peter.
Whackaday.
Whackaday! Good girl, well done.
This is a far cry from the chaotic days of breakfast television, though he bizarrely has a small following on TikTok now. Jamie Theekston. He was a common sight in British TV in the 1990s and 2000s, and, like Mallet, also presented plenty of kids' shows.
Thank you, keep going.
What else did you say? Well, I can't remember.
Manageable.
Manageable.
He also featured on Top of the Pops for 5 years and is still around on the radio. But why did he vanish from television? Well, in 2002, Theekston found himself embroiled in a scandal when it was alleged by the paparazzi that he'd been visiting a high-end brothel in Mayfair.
It's a bit like giant pandas trying to mate. You know, you put them in a pen and you just hope that they get up.
There are children watching this.
Yeah.
He took out an injunction, but it didn't work, and the story was published anyway, forcing Theekston to publicly apologise for the brothel visits and the taking of certain Class A substances. He was defended by colleagues, but his career in television has certainly suffered.
Jamie, just to clarify, you're suggesting that you two are giant pandas and you've been put in a room hoping that you copulate, or...?
He's speaking for himself.
John Barrowman.
I think that if it was now, it would be crossing the line.
Right.
I think that something that happened 15 years ago, it was body behaviour, silly behaviour.
Still best known for his recurring role as Captain Jack Harkness, a character so popular he went on to front 4 series of his own spin-off, Torchwood. Barrowman has been ostracised by various broadcasters recently. This all came down to various misconduct allegations about nudity on set back in the 2000s, when Barrowman was known for his raunchy sense of humour.
The fact that it was stories that I've already told, you know, I've been telling them for years.
Barrowman now claims the BBC has blackballed him, and he's even lost roles on ITV since, though he's apologised and most of the people affected by his actions haven't really spoken about them.
All the people that are making the fuss about it, they weren't there. They don't know the context of things that were done.
We might never see Captain Jack in Doctor Who again. Sean Walsh.
I'm joined now by Sean and Katya. Now, on It Takes Two, we like to talk about the dancing, but that's been somewhat overshadowed by events this week.
Considering comedian Sean Walsh was never actually that famous, it remains shocking just how huge his foray into the Strictly curse became. Sean was photographed by the Paps kissing his dance partner Katya Jones. Sean had a long-term girlfriend, while Katya was married, and both relationships eventually broke down because of the scandal.
Is there anything else that either of you'd like to say?
I think that, obviously I'm sorry for the hurt that I've caused.
Following that, Sean was persona non grata in Britain for years, until he eventually made a bit of a comeback on I'm a Celeb in 2022. Though how much of that was because Matt Hancock was also there, who had a far more damning extramarital affair. Walsh has since said he had to go to therapy to deal with the aftermath.
Sean, your ex-girlfriend Rebecca has put out a statement. Is there anything you'd like to say about that?
I think, first of all, I would rather not be having to address this publicly.
Jason Gardner.
And that was the lowest score of the night.
And it was because it was one of the worst performances.
More dancing. Choreographer Jason Gardner was one of the original judges on Dancing on Ice, ITV's rival to Strictly.
I'm just trying to think why I turned Dancing on Ice down. Just trying to think why I'd have done that.
But he disappeared completely in the 2010s, leaving Dancing on Ice for the first time in 2011. He's since made reappearances, though Dancing on Ice temporarily found itself cancelled, but hasn't been seen on TV since 2018 now.
Yeah, but the public are not on the panel. So, you know, I am, and I have to, I have to judge it from the way, from what I need to see.
However, Gardner's career is dead, mostly by choice, even if he was in a minor scandal with Gemma Collins, as he just doesn't want to be on TV anymore, and in recent years relocated to Portugal to have a more relaxing lifestyle.
Do you enjoy being the pantomime villain? You look like you enjoy it.
I enjoy the fact that I will say the truth.
He's even called ITV toxic since he left, burning those bridges. Darren Day. He's another who actually is still working, which you'll know if you follow the West End at all, but he very nearly lost everything.
But do you want this to make a difference to your life?
It has been life-changing.
In 2006, Darren Day was declared bankrupt after he spent almost £1 million on Class A's, leaving him hundreds of thousands of pounds in debt. He got into debt so severely because his career was already struggling in the 2000s, and he couldn't keep up with his expensive habit.
For the last, a long, long time, I felt like the nation doesn't like me.
Yeah.
And this weekend, it's been like the shackles came off.
He's also got drink driving offences on his record and got arrested for possession of an offensive weapon, though the weapon in question was a keyring. He's mostly been doing pantos in the years since, but is now sober.
Have you got to grips with the addiction?
Yes, 100%. My sobriety is, other than my family, other than my wife and my children, that's the most important thing in my life.
Les Dennis. His career took a real turn for the worse around 2002. In 1995, he'd married Amanda Holden, who was just 24, while Dennis was 42.
I like experienced, mature men.
You would with him.
Their marriage lasted for 8 years in total, though they did briefly separate after Holden had an affair. They patched things up, but then the relationship soured again. Unfortunately, Dennis chose this time to appear on Celebrity Big Brother Series 2, and was very clearly struggling the whole time he was in there.
Well, it's 50 years in the business this year.
He later wrote that before going in, Holden made a joke about them getting Neil Morrissey on, who she'd had the affair with. Dennis still works, of course, but he doesn't have nearly the same recognition that he used to.
And Cordy, that was huge.
Cordy was fantastic.
I loved you in Cordy. I didn't want you to go.
I didn't want me to go in it.
Phillip Schofield. He was the king of British daytime television, fronting This Morning for decades. But all that went away when Schofield confessed to a long-rumoured affair in 2023.
In a statement, Mr. Schofield said he had lied about the relationship to ITV as well as his agents, lawyers and family.
It turned out that, despite many denials, he'd had a tryst with a much younger male runner on This Morning, and he'd also gotten this runner his job on the show, muddying the waters even more.
I did have a consensual on-off relationship with a younger male colleague at This Morning.
Schofield not only resigned from This Morning, but was hounded by news outlets.
The relationship, he says, was unwise, but not illegal. It is now over.
He then resigned from Dancing on Ice too, and it looks like his show business career is completely over. We'd be surprised to see Phillip making a comeback anytime soon, though many other famous faces have defended him. Michael Barrymore. Also massive in the 80s and 90s, Barrymore was a popular entertainer, but one of the most shocking scandals to ever hit British television ended his career in 2001.
The detectives investigating the death of Stuart Lubbock on March the 31st have made 3 arrests this morning.
In short, an ordinary factory worker named Stuart Lubbock was found dead in a swimming pool at Barrymore's house under extremely suspicious circumstances. There was a huge investigation, and many witnesses were questioned, but none was a credible suspect.
All 3 were released without charge. But the damage to Michael's career seemed irreversible.
Lubbock's death has never been solved, though Barrymore himself has been arrested and questioned by police many times.
Michael Parker, me, has an alibi from 3 people in the period immediately prior to the discovery of Stuart in the pool. I therefore conclude that there is insufficient evidence against all 3 suspects.
At one point, he even went after the police for damages over wrongful arrest, though it didn't really stand up in court.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojoUK and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.